Assalamu alaikum students, hope everyone is doing well. Today we are going to do the topic measurement of price elasticity of demand. Now there are three ways in which price elasticity can be measured. Okay, the first one is called total revenue method or TR method. It's also called total expenditure method or TE method. Okay, and when I explain this one to you, we will be discussing three cases of price elasticity being less than 1, being greater than 1, and equal to 1. I have mentioned written a circle over here just to tell you that it's better to write EP to show its price elasticity of demand, or you can also write ED, but EP is a better option. The second method is called point elasticity method, and when I explain that, we will be seeing that it further has two cases. When the demand curve is linear, how do we find elasticity, and when demand curve is non-linear, what's the situation? So we will discuss both these cases. And the third one is arc elasticity method. So let's start. Now, beginning with the total expenditure or total revenue method, you need to understand one thing, that for necessities, I think I should cover the written part so that you are not distracted by it. Okay, when we discuss necessities are things without which survival isn't possible. So even if its price rises, we still keep buying them. Okay, so you must understand what are necessities. I think I have misspelled necessities here. Anyways, so in case of necessities, elasticity is always less than 1. What does this means in itself? That let's say wheat is our staple food. We can't live without eating bread or roti. So even if it becomes very expensive, we will still keep buying it. So our response to changes in price of wheat will not be that much. So elasticity in case of necessities is always less than 1. Why? Because we have to buy it whether it is cheaper or dearer, whether it gets expensive or it gets cheaper, we have to buy it. That's why its elasticity is less than 1. Now let's discuss this concept with the help of a table. Let's first discuss the case of where we are considering a rise in price. Let's say there was wheat, it was 10 rupees per kg, then the price rose and it became 20 rupees per kg, and 10 rupees 20 kg were demanded, and on 20 people cannot reduce their demand that much, so only 2 kg dropped and people kept on demanding at least 18 kg. Now so far we have done demand schedule up to this point and we have not calculated this. Now we are calculating here total expenditure or total revenue, which is price multiplied by quantity, P into Q. How do you find total expenditure? You find how many are you buying and at what price, so you multiply both of them. So 10 times 20 is 200, 20 times 18 is 360. Now what does this show? What does this mean? You see, if price has risen, so has our total expenditure. Okay, price rises, total expenditure also rises in case of necessities. Okay, and we can summarize it like this: rise in price causes increase in total expenditure. Of course, this case opposite is also true, so let's discuss the opposite situation. Let's consider example of a salt packet was worth rupees 10, and then 10 I was demanding 2 packets. Okay, when the price dropped and became half, how much salt will I use? What will I do with it? So maybe I got attracted by the half price and I bought an extra packet. Okay, fine, so I got 3 packets. Now what is the total expenditure done in both the situation? 10 times 2 20, 5 times 3 15. Now look here closely. Price of a necessity like salt fell. Okay, it dropped. So did my total expenditure. So in both, I can write it like this: fall in price led to fall in total expenditure. I can sum up these 2 points by saying that in case of necessities, price and total expenditure move in same direction. So just by looking at the direction of total expenditure, we can tell whether it's a necessity or whether it's a luxury. Okay, so if price rises, expenditure rises, it's a necessity. If price falls, expenditure also falls, that is a necessity. So this is how we find out or we measure price elasticity of demand through total expenditure or total revenue. Now let's move on to our second case. Second case is that of luxuries. Now what happens in case of luxuries? Luxuries are something which not everybody can afford. So when luxuries are expensive, we buy less of them. But when their price drops, we rush to the market and we try to buy them if it is affordable for us. It means that elasticity or price elasticity of demand for luxuries is in most of the cases greater than 1. What happens that if price increases, demand decreases and vice versa. So let's discuss these 2 cases with the help of a table. Now assume we have DVD. Now a price of a DVD can be rupees 4,000, and at 4,000 5 DVDs were being demanded, and the total expenditure that was being done on 5 DVDs was 4,000 into 5, 20,000. Now suddenly there was some flash sale, or a new technology came and they were selling off all the present DVDs and the price dropped to half. Now when the price drops to half, the same commodity, that is DVD, will now become affordable for many, and many will rush to the market. So let's say its demand rose to 30. Now altogether, now how much money is being spent on 30 number of DVDs? 60,000. 2,000 into 30, that is 60,000. So what do we see in this case? That a drop in price has caused increase in total expenditure. The direction or the movement in both of them is opposite to each other. The drop in price has caused increase in total expenditure. Now let's consider an opposite case where price rises. Let's say we have a price of a carpet, it's worth rupees 15,000, and at this price 20 carpets are being demanded in the market. The total expenditure on 20 carpets will be 300,000, okay, or 3 lakhs. But if the price of carpet increases, since it's a luxury, people can live without carpets, they can use any other commodities in place of it or simply avoid its use. When its price rose by 5,000, people dropped the demand too. It became 10, and when 10 were being sold, total expenditure on number of carpets was 200,000. So what are we seeing here? Here we can see that increase in price has caused decrease in total expenditure, whereas in previous case the direction in both P and total expenditure was same, but in case of luxuries it is opposite. So we can sum up by saying that in case of luxuries, price and total expenditure move in opposite directions. Okay. Now let's discuss the third situation through total expenditure, total revenue method. Let me check the camera. I hope everything is visible. If it wasn't, I'm so sorry. Okay. Okay, now let's discuss commodities which are neither necessities nor luxuries. There are many things which are neither necessities nor luxuries. In those cases, elasticity of demand will always be equal to 1. Now let's discuss this case of price of a pen. Now pen is something that is neither necessity nor luxury. So if a ballpoint is worth rupees 20, its price drops to rupees 10. how many extra pens I'm going to buy, I'll just make use of the drop in price, and I may buy double the quantity, but the total expenditure in both the cases remains the same. When at price 20 I was buying 10 pens, I was spending 200 rupees, but when the price dropped to 10, I bought 10 extra pens, and my total expenditure still remained 200. Consider another example opposite to it. In over here we were considering a drop in price. Let's consider a rise in price. Let's say a matchbox worth rupees 10, I was using 20 matchboxes per month, but when its price rose to rupees 20, I started saving or using less of the matchboxes, so I dropped my demand to 20, but in both the cases my total expenditure was 400. Okay, 10 times 40 400, 20 times 20 400. So what is happening basically over here, that a drop in price is causing no effect in total expenditure in this case, and in this case an increase in price has no effect on total expenditure. So if we are given a question where total expenditure does not change and you are asked what kind of a commodity it is, you can clearly say it is a commodity which is neither a necessity nor luxury. Okay, now let's move on to our second method of measurement of price elasticity of demand, which is called point elasticity. Now as the name shows, when we want to measure a price elasticity of demand at a certain point, it's called point elasticity. But over here we have to remember that price change has to be really small in order to use this method. Okay, now in case of point elasticity we have two cases. When we have a linear demand curve. Now what's a linear demand curve? Linear demand curve is a demand curve which is a straight line like this. Okay, this is a linear demand curve, and we can have another type of a demand curve which is non-linear, which is a bit curvy. Let's say it's like this. Okay, this is my demand curve and this was my demand curve. Now if I am asked to find out elasticity in these two cases and I have no data whatsoever, I don't have any demand schedule, how am I going to find elasticity? Suppose I am given this point and I'm asked to find out price elasticity of demand at this very particular point. What will I do? I am going to use this formula, that price elasticity of demand is equal to length of lower segment divided by length of upper segment. What am I going to do? I'm going to take my ruler and I am going to measure. Let's say this point is labeled as T. What am I going to do? I am going to take my ruler and measure the distance from point T to this point. So let me call this point as F and this point as G. Okay, now what is my lower segment? My lower segment is TF. What is my upper segment? My upper segment is GT. So I'll simply take my ruler, measure the sizes in centimeters and write it. Now if just by looking at it I can see that this is round about 2 centimeter and this is 1 centimeter. So I can simply write that 2 centimeter divided by 1 centimeter, which is equal to 2. So my price elasticity of demand is equal to 2, which is greater than 1. Now remember I told you a diagram where I told you that if you have a linear demand curve I hope everything is visible still. If you have a linear demand curve, right in the middle of it, your elasticity is always going to be equal to 1. If you have a point lower than in this area, in the lower segment, your elasticity is always going to be less than 1. In any area over here, it's going to be greater than 1. Over here, it's going to be infinity, and over here, it's going to be 0. Now, even if you had not used this formula, just by looking at the point, you could have guessed that it is, a little above the middle point, so elasticity will be greater than 1, and when you measured it, it actually came greater than 1, which means it's elastic. Whatever commodity is being discussed, its demand is elastic enough. Now, let's come to this situation when we have a non-linear demand curve, or our demand curve is curvy. Now, what do we do in this case? Let's say again we have to measure elasticity at point T. Now, we don't have an upper segment. We cannot take a ruler and measure it like this. So what do? We draw a tangent through this point, touching both the axes. And now we clearly have a lower segment and an upper segment. Let me give it same notations, TF and TG. Again, I will take my ruler, measure these two areas, put them in the formula, and find out my elasticity of price elasticity of demand, which in this case is definitely going to be greater than 1, as it is a little above than the middle point. Let's try one thing. Let's change the shape of our linear demand curve. Okay, let's say I want to measure elasticity at this point. What am I going to do? I am going to draw a tangent. This becomes my lower segment, this becomes my upper segment. I will measure it. Clearly it is in the lower segment, so elasticity is expected to be less than 1 in this case. So this was how to measure elasticity at a particular point in case of a linear demand curve and in case of a non-linear demand curve. Now let's move on to our third method, which is called arc elasticity. Now, arc elasticity is used when the change in price is quite large, or it is substantial enough. We use this formula. Okay, change in quantity divided by change in price, multiply by sum of both the prices divided by sum of both the quantities. So I have taken some hypothetical example here. So a price of anything was rupees 200, it doubled, it became 400. Quantity demanded initially was 100, now it became 90. Let's put all these values in this formula. We can see that price change is quite large, so we can very confidently use this method. This is my P1, this is my P2, this is my Q1, and this is my Q2. So change in quantity I know is Q2 minus Q1. Change in price is P2 minus P1. And I'll just copy these, sum of both the prices and sum of both the quantities. Now putting in the values, what do I get? Q2 minus Q1, that is minus 10. P2 minus P1, that is 200, into P1 plus P2, 600, divided by Q1 plus Q2, 100 plus 90, that is 190. Now let's start doing our 1 times 2 is 2, 3 2s are 6, so we have minus 3 over 19. Okay, now which is definitely the answer is going to be, I think, 0.1 something, minus 0.1. Of course, minus sign we are going to ignore, and we are going to say price elasticity is is equal to 0.1, which is less than 1. So this is less elastic, and it was very obvious here. The price doubled from 200 to it become 400. Percentage change in price was much more than the percentage change in quantity demanded. Only 10% quantity demanded changes, whereas price change was 100%. It doubled up. So our price elasticity of demand came out to be less than 1, which is less elastic in this particular example. So this was our with this we come to the end of the first method. That was the first method that I discussed, and I think I've come to the end of my lecture. I thought there is more, but it isn't. Good. See you in the next video. Hope you understood what I said. Allah Hafiz.